There will be no miracle run to the postseason for this Yankees team. They have been officially eliminated from playoff contention with a 7-1 loss here this afternoon to the Arizona Diamondbacks on an appropriately wet, dismal, windy, cold, raw day here in the Bronx. And Aaron Judge had a lot to say after this one, talking about the season as a whole. Said there's a lot that went wrong. It's about bringing a championship back. That's why we play. That's why I'm here. And I thought it was interesting because he was standing almost exactly in the same spot where he was at the end of last year's ALCS. And if you remember, he is coming off the MVP year, didn't perform all that well in a postseason, and we weren't completely sure at the time whether he was coming back or not. And so now that he did come back, got the big contract, got named team captain, the goal in doing all that was to lead the Yankees to the postseason and then to a World Series championship. That was the implied understanding here in a 9-year contract. And now year one is down, and the Yankees are not going to the World Series. They're not even going to the playoffs. And for the first time since 2016, the first time in Aaron Boone's managerial tenure. And now you zoom out and think, Judge has known nothing but the postseason in his time as a Yankee. Yes, he got called up late in 2016, and they didn't go to the playoffs then, but they went to the ALCS in 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't have to go over it for you guys. You remember the history here. Every year they've made the playoffs but have fallen short. And so Judge said it's a big failure. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of internal talks, a lot of stuff we've got to get figured out. And, of course, we asked what exactly does he think needs to change with this Yankee team. He said we're going to keep that in-house. But he does expect there will be communication between him and the front office in determining the future for this team and trying to figure out how they can get this right for next year. And I would imagine that will go directly to Hal Steinbrenner for Judge. We remember how they negotiated the contract for last year. Hal named him captain. I'm sure that Judge will be speaking to ownership about what he thinks needs to change. So they have a 78-77 record now with 7 games left. The only remaining intrigue is if they can keep that streak of 30 consecutive seasons. Can they extend that to 31 by just sneaking over the 500 mark? 30 straight years of winning records. The last time they had a losing record, of course, 1992, when Buck Showalter was in his first year in the manager's chair. DJ LeMahieu said after this one that the season was especially frustrating because we know we've got the guys and couldn't put it together. LeMahieu said that he was on a couple 100-loss teams earlier in his career, and while it's still frustrating to lose that much, he thought they were shorthanded. Those teams were shorthanded. This one, not so much so. Second highest payroll in all of baseball here. And so Aaron Boone said he thought starting pitching was expected to be a strength of this team, and it didn't transpire that way. He actually mentioned the Frankie Montas injury early as changing the landscape there, and then Carlos Rodon missed most of the season, and now clearly you look up, and Nestor Cortez, Luis Severino, all these guys have been MIA here for big periods of time this season. Of course, the injury to Aaron Judge and others didn't help, and I think if you look back here, there was a point early in the season Boone was talking about where they were 10 games over 500, and they thought that if they could just tread water for a little while and wait for guys to come back, they'd be okay, but they just couldn't do that. And a big part of that, as we've discussed all summer long, was that the veteran guys they were counting on, LeMahieu, Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Rizzo, who of course had the concussion issue, they were not able to produce enough while Judge was out. And then when Judge did come back, they still didn't get on one of those real consistent runs. Matter of fact, they had that 9-game losing streak after Judge came back. So Boone saying after this one that what you work through all year long, from day one of spring training through the regular season, is for a chance to play in October and go win that world championship. And the reality of that not being in play, it sucks. And so that's a good way to close out here. That's the Hokey Pokey. That's what it's all about. Your final score here at Yankee Stadium, once again, was Arizona 7 and the Yankees 1. Yankees have 1 home game remaining. They're going to try to get it in tomorrow. Weather, as you can see behind me, is gross, but it was gross all day. So we'll see if they can play another gross game tomorrow and then hit the road 6 after that one. A trip to Toronto, then trip to KC, and then the Yankees are done for 2023. So we'll see you tomorrow.